here.
What's your time?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 3 to 5 minutes plus 2 to 3 minutes for Q&A.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right. Who doesn't like winning a ribbon at Toastmasters? We've got all these fantastic ribbons here, right? We use ribbons for recognition. Every time you give a speech, your icebreaker, you get a ribbon for icebreaker. If you're voted the best speaker, the best table topics, the best evaluator, you get a ribbon. It is a symbol of prestige for you, and it should be. However, after a while, if you're doing well, you're going to start accumulating a lot of ribbons, right?
Yes.
If our club meets roughly 4 times a month, 12 months out of the year, and we hand out 3 ribbons at every meeting, that's almost, it's 144, but round it up to 150 ribbons a year. Because let's face it, some weeks, some years, or some months, we have 5-week months. These ribbons come in packs of 10 that cost $5. That's 50 cents a ribbon. That's $75 a year that it costs us to buy ribbons. If we had 20 members in the club and our dues were $2 a piece, that's roughly $480 a year that we have for club dues. That's roughly one sixth of our budget goes to ribbons. So we're building up all these ribbons that we have at home. I've got a stack of them on my shelf in my office. I've got a big, nice pile of them, nice and neat. Well, that's probably what most people do with them. That, or they're in a bag, or some people don't even bother taking them. Well, it sort of defeats the purpose of having a ribbon. Well, this is what I propose. These ribbons that we have sitting around, hopefully nice and neat, not as pristine as this, but hopefully nice and neat, they still basically look brand new. Okay? Rather than having to buy new ones all the time, what if we were allowed to exchange these for something better? My idea is to allow members to redeem their good quality ribbons at some value less than the 50 cents. Maybe we'll say 25 just to make this example easy. At 25 cents. We need to come up with some sort of standard. Maybe 2 officers make the decision as to whether or not a ribbon is good enough to come back. I mean, let's face it, it could be creased, it could be fraying, who knows, depending on what you do with it. Stuck it in your pocket, wash it, no, it's probably not good enough to come back and give to somebody else. Somebody doesn't want your pocket ribbon.
Oh.
But most of the ribbons are probably going to be in good shape. And if you knew that you could then trade them in for something maybe better, you would keep better care of them to start with, even if they are, just like me, piling up on a shelf. So this is what I'm proposing. So you've got a bunch of ribbons you've earned throughout the year. Say in a given year you've earned 20. It was a good year. I actually haven't even done the math to figure out if that's really a good year. 75 ribbons, that's 1/3 of all the ribbons in the club. So maybe 20 is a bit much. But hey, some of us have been to Toastmasters for quite a long time. So you get 20 ribbons. You're allowed to trade them in at 25 cents a piece. Technically, that's $5 worth. Well, you go out to the Toastmasters website and you look and see, hey, you know what? There's a lanyard out there. I wear a lanyard for work all the time. A lot of people use lanyards. There's pens. There's all sorts of different swag items. That cost roughly $5 or less. There's a lanyard out there for $4. I decided, you know what? I think I'd like to have a Toastmasters lanyard. The one that I got from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science is kind of frayed. It's kind of getting yucky looking. Let me get a new one. So what I do is I come to one of the officers, maybe the sergeant at arms or whatever. I say, hey, I've got some ribbons I want to trade in because I would like to get this lanyard. He gets together with another officer. They look at him and say, yeah, those are in good shape. How many are you turning in? Well, I'm turning in 16, which is $4 worth at 25 cents, so I can get this lanyard. When do I do this? Maybe twice a year. Ideally, that's how often we should be ordering supplies, either at the beginning or end of each term. That way, whoever the sergeant at arms is, whoever the treasurer is, somebody has that responsibility twice a year to make sure we have everything we need. So we get a bunch of ribbons turned in. We don't have to order more ribbons now. Now we have those. Say we had 35 ribbons, roughly half the ribbons we need for a year, turned in from various people. So we don't need to theoretically buy any ribbons for the next 6 months. And on top of that, instead of spending that $37.50 or whatever, the 50 cents a ribbon, I guess it would be technically 17, however many ribbons it is. We're basically spending half the amount of money because we're giving 25 cents in credit versus the 50 cents we would have paid for the ribbons. And now that member, instead of having a stack of ribbons at home, now they've got the lanyard. Now they've got a nicer Toastmasters pen. Now they've got some sort of swag that maybe means a little bit something more to them, and is also, for the sake of the club and Toastmasters, is now more mobile. Because I don't walk around with these things pinned to my shirt or sticking out of my pocket. But if I had a lanyard that said Toastmasters, or if somebody asked to borrow a pen and I gave them a Toastmasters pen to use, that would definitely generate some interest in the club, as well as helping push members to try and win more ribbons, so that way they could choose whatever is behind door number 2 for them. Let me open the floor to questions. Does anybody have any questions about this? I've pitched this to a couple different audiences so far. Bob.
So you might have answered this. Is there shipping involved with the pen or the lanyard?
There is some shipping involved, yes. But if we're doing purchasing twice a year, we're going to be shipping something. I don't know exactly how the exact dollar amount of the shipping works out. That's a valid point. Maybe something we need to look into. If we ordered 75 ribbons, how much would the shipping be versus if we ordered, five packs of ribbons, a couple lanyards, and a pen or something like that? Figure out how the shipping actually differs.
And I don't think it has to financially benefit, because I think it's kind of like saving bottle caps or saving, whatever. I think it's an incentive.
Right.
So that definitely works.
Well, and if we normally spend $75, I'm trying to remember what the math was. It was $75 a year. If it was $75 a year. If we normally spend $37.50 every 6 months, if we were to recycle literally every ribbon we had, so they were always in good shape, even if it cost us $75, we're not out anything. If we're getting swag and stuff like that at the same value. Yes, Diane.
Well, I don't like this idea at all. I think it's terrible. I think that, when I win a ribbon, I want a brand new ribbon. I don't want a recycled, old, pocket, sweaty ribbon. No, I think it's a terrible idea. No.
Okay, well, I can appreciate that. And let's face it, we're not going to recycle every single ribbon. And I suppose we could give that option of saying, look, do you want a brand new ribbon or is one of these okay? At the same time, I bet if we had, like I said, at least 2 officers, we can come up with some sort of criteria that, whether it's the touch, whether it's the look, maybe it's the smell, maybe those ribbons you don't want. Whatever it happens to be, that detracts from the quality of the ribbon.
That's not a pleasant day.
Like I said, no pocket ribbons. The whole idea is you've kept these ribbons nice and in good shape. You've held on to them so that way they are in just as good as brand new. And you know what? As a matter of fact, depending on the cologne or the perfume somebody may be wearing, that used ribbon may smell better than the original.
Not possible.
Not possible? Don't
smell?
If I'm trading in my ribbons and I get a $4 credit, but I want to buy something for $6, I would make up that difference of the $2. But how are you taking care of the money transfer?
That's something I had not thought about before, which is, say you want maybe a portfolio, and it's leather or something like that, whatever the cost is, there is a price difference. Well, if we're doing this twice a year, we're having to have money come in and out. Right now, the only money, not really the only, but the main time we have money come in and out is when we renew our memberships. So we're only doing that twice a year. We're having to fund a little bit more money when we're making purchases, if we're doing that twice a year. So now it's only 4 times a year. So the treasurer, who has absolutely nothing to do most of the year. No, but seriously.
Thanks a lot.
No, but it shouldn't be that big of an imposition on the finances of the club to add in that we're going to have to do financial transactions 4 times a year instead of twice. And then it's simply, whether it's PayPal, credit card, check, whatever, pay that to the treasurer, so that way the money's accounted for, we can have a receipt, which we should probably do anyway when we turn in the ribbons, is have some sort of receipt that says, look, they turned in 10 ribbons, they were given $2.50, and for that they ordered a pen or 2 pens, whatever the dollar amount works out to be. Or in your case, here's a receipt for 10 ribbons for $2.50 and a check for $5 for $7.50, and Dawn wanted the leather portfolio or whatever it's made out of for $7.50.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Anybody else want to yell at me about these stinky pocket ribbons?
Joel, so I think you've brought up a very good point. So we're spending $75 on ribbons, and I think the value of the ribbons is a little bit quite, they're nice initially, but after you got enough. For example, I think an Lexus L400 2014 edition is $38,000. Now I have 25,000 ribbons. If I exchange those, I'm giving you proof. But here's the concept. I think you're onto something, but I think you've made it way too complicated. So
Okay.
I'm just presenting an alternative approach to what you said. Why don't we give away food? More importantly, why don't we give away chocolate instead of ribbons? So try this one on for size, and once again, it takes a little while to wrap your head around it for just a moment. But think about it. So if you won Best Speaker, you come up, you get your handshake, and you get handed, let's say, like a medium-sized chocolate bar. Okay? Now, that's something that ideally either you are going to eat today, or else you give it, if you don't like chocolate or something, you'll give it to somebody else, okay? But have effectively, and maybe different chocolate bars for different, ribbons type of deal. If we go to Sam's Club and if we buy chocolate bars, I'm suspecting that over the course of a year we would spend less than $75 on food purchase and stuff like that. But if you give away a consumable like that, there is an immediate gratification for what
There
you.
is.
I've tried eating ribbons before, and the first bites are fine, but the next two are not so good actually. But it would be like an immediate payback. It might save the club a little bit. It would be something a little different. I'm unaware of any Toastmasters club doing it. Everyone's like ribbon, right?
Right.
But it would be like sort of people would want to win the candy bar. You might have
Potentially.
So
Potentially.
So just want to run it up, or give away, a corn dog or whatever. But you get the gist of the concept, a consumable.
And that's okay. That the biggest
It's
challenge I
super
see
simple,
there
super simple.
is some people aren't into junk food, whether it's chocolate, whether it's Starburst, whether it's something else.
I would grant you that you do have a valid point on that. But if you give junk food to somebody who's not into junk food, suddenly they have something they can trade to other people who are. You give me a piece of chocolate, I know somebody I can give that chocolate to who will be happy to receive it. So that's not a problem whatsoever. I might not be eating it, but somebody else will be. So once again, just an idea I wanted to float. I think your idea of moving away from ribbons is cool. I got no problems with that whatsoever.
Well, we're not moving away from ribbons.
I
We're still
understand.
using them. The idea is now they have some other value rather than just the intrinsic value of, hey, I got a ribbon.
This is true.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see what the club says. Thank you very much.